With a sack, a fumble recovery, 5 tackles, and a key pass deflection, Cruz was a major factor in BC's win over stubborn Ottawa. Tonight, our CTV profile focuses on lineman star and defensive tackle Harold Hallman. We are at halftime in Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers playing host to the Ottawa Roughriders. Every now and again, just about every sports fan thinks that his favorite team got robbed by the officials. Many people think that officials should be allowed to use television replays, videotape, to check controversial calls. That is the subject matter for today's Ask the Commissioner question. Right now, when and under what circumstances would the CFL allow their officials to use videotape replays to review questionable calls? That comes from Dale Babinchuk of Tamsack, Saskatchewan. Doug Mitchell, your response.
Well, Dan, we don't have any provision now for video replays or for officials to look at video replays. And at this particular stage, we feel that it would be far too time-consuming. You can't do it by looking at one camera. It would take 3 or 4 cameras to look at it, and I just think it would have a detrimental effect on the game.
The NHL, the NFL, they have both launched investigations into using videotape replays. Do you have access to their materials, reviewed what they're...
In part, we have, and also I think a good example was shown a couple weeks ago when Montreal Alouettes played in BC. The replay screen clearly showed a touchdown on a controversial pass reception, but when you reviewed it and looked at it on television, you saw that it was obviously not a touchdown, so that if you'd looked at only one camera, you'd have called it a touchdown, but when you looked at the 3rd or 4th camera, it showed that it was not a touchdown, and I think that's the problem that we'd have to wrestle with. Would you take the time to look at 3 or 4 different views of a play? And I think it would waste too much time, and on many occasions when video replays are looked at, it proves that the official that's on the spot has made the right call.
So the referees will not have to become instant television experts, certainly for some time to come. You want to ask the commissioner? Here's the address. Doug Mitchell will respond here on CTV, and you can win yourself a Spalding J5B football.
All right, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I suppose somewhere down the road, Frank, they probably would get into that technological age and have replays that the officials might go to, but certainly it's a long way from being in any league, really, at this point.
Well, it's a very difficult thing, obviously, as Doug explained to them, the different ramifications of it, and it may be some time. But let's take a look statistically at that first half. As you can see, a very even football game in terms of total yardage, and not a game that has been very impressive to this point in time offensively by either team. And basically because the defenses, I think they've done an excellent scouting job, particularly the Ottawa Roughriders, obviously shutting down that quick hit screen to Murphy and so forth. I thought the big effort by Tommy Clements on this play in the second quarter when his receivers were covered and he took off, he knew he was going to be hit and hit big down at about the goal line, and Tommy went for it anyway. Even though he is in his 11th year in the professional ranks, he takes a shot at the 1-yard line. Sykes went over for the only touchdown of the game right after that, but I thought that was a key play in the drive. And we saw an example of how Todd Dillon, the much renowned and much ballyhooed quarterback that many people at Ottawa feel might be as good as Jim Kelly, the highest paid player in the football history with the Buffalo Bills, signing this past week, how he can deliver that football when he gets a little time. That was Mike Hudson, a 45-yard drive, and led to a field goal, which got the 6th point for the Ottawa Roughriders, and find us here at halftime with a Winnipeg lead of 8-6.
Now the third quarter kicked off by Dean Dorsey. He puts it deep down to the 11-yard line, and this Darrell Sampson on the return, number 30, spins away from the first man, Greg Miller, and finds some open room right on the near side of the field. Finally cut down at about the 44-yard line. A return of 31 yards by Sampson, a rookie out of York University. Another look.
Well, Greg Miller, number 10, is really upset with himself because he came down here with great hustle, just outrunning the blockers who were trying to put a hit on him, and got down there in position to make the tackle. Just didn't slow down and keep that balance underneath him enough. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers get good field position at their 44.
1st and 10 here in the third quarter. Winnipeg deep down the middle is open for Klosky. First down for the Bombers at the Ottawa 39-yard line. And that's a pickup of 26 yards for Klosky, a key man tonight for Winnipeg. They wanted more production from him, and they're getting it tonight. Sanji on the coverage. And quickly, the Bombers move into Ottawa territory. 4 catches, 73 yards for Joe Poplawski, and the handoff to James Sykes. He's wrapped up immediately by Lloyd Lewis, number 76. And there will be a loss on the play of a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 11.
Well, they continue to try to run Sykes, but not all that successfully. He's picked up just over 30 yards so far tonight, running the football in his return after an absence of a year and a half.
Clements into the middle again, and Poplawski is unable to hold on. This time the coverage was there by Sanji. Poplawski bobbled it a little bit. Sanji was able to pull him down. Ball falls incomplete. 3rd down, Winnipeg.
Pressure by Taylor, the middle linebacker. There looked to me like the ball was delivered pretty well by Tommy Clements. Joe could have had that one, I think, very easily. It's not to be, so a field goal attempt by the Bombers will come from about the 48-yard line.
Bob Cameron doing the holding for Paul Osbaldiston. 47-yard field goal attempt. It is wide. No, it isn't. It started out wide, and then it came back. So it's a field goal for Osbaldiston, and that increases the Bomber lead to 11-6. We'll be back in just a moment. It's all contained right there in one publication. It's got everything you'd want to know about the Canadian Football League and the players and individual teams as well. It's available from the CFL for $14.95. And there's the address where you can send for your copy. Following the field goal, Osbaldiston's kickoff goes to the 20-yard line. Lewis on the return. Ken Haley brings him down as he crosses the 40-yard line. 23-yard return by Mark Lewis and the Ottawa Rough Riders. So 1st and 10, and the ball will be spotted at their own 43.
Dale, Ottawa had a rash of injuries, as you know, in the first half. Well, most of them are back, with the exception of Reggie Butts, the wide receiver, number 29. Reggie will not play anymore tonight. That elbow injury apparently a little more serious than at first. They thought it was maybe a funny bone, but it's going to need an X-ray. It could be quite serious. Reggie will not play anymore tonight.
And Todd Dillon took over from Tom Burgess in the 2nd quarter. Dillon's still in there, and he one-hops it to Mike Catterbone. Working against James Jefferson, number 20 of the Blue Bombers. Dillon's stats tonight. Jefferson, of course, playing on the corner in place of David Shaw, who went home to attend to some family matters this past week in Dallas. He's expected back over the weekend here in Winnipeg. Burgess waiting to see if he might get another opportunity to play tonight. 2nd down and 10 for Dillon.
The big blitz.
Mark Lewis had the ball in his hands, and thanks to the defensive play of Roy Bennett, it's an incomplete pass. Big hit by Bennett.
Well, that's actually a pretty good read by Dillon, because he sees all these linebackers coming, and he's got to get rid of the football, no question about it. Watch the pressure that comes on him. Ty Jones, 35, jumps over the blocker, as well as Patterson, 76, and it's actually a pretty good throw. I don't think Lewis would have picked the 1st down up anyway, because Bennett was there with perfect timing.
Ouch. Lewis bounced right back up, though. 3rd down. Good kick by Ken Clark. He drives Sampson back inside the 10-yard line. So from the 8, he's on the return and brings it out to the 26-yard line. So the Blue Bombers get the ball after a 58-yard punt and a 17-yard return. Winnipeg leads it 11-6 over the Ottawa Rough Riders. We'll be back in just a moment.
Drive officials crazy. Did Mark Lewis have possession? I thought maybe he did. It was awfully close.
I don't think he did.
You don't think he did, Dale?
No.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He's a gutsy little performer, because he bounced right back up after that hit, and obviously in excellent condition.
So the Bombers have a 5-point lead. They've got the ball at their own 26-yard line. We're in the 3rd quarter at Winnipeg Stadium. Tom Clements finds Sean Kehoe open in the middle. There's a penalty marker down, and Kehoe is stopped shy of the 40-yard line, but he's got enough yardage for a Bomber 1st down out at the 39 before he's driven back. Henry Taylor was there defensively for Ottawa. See what the call is here. Pass interference against Ottawa.
Forward pass interference. Ottawa decline.
Looking once again at Henry Taylor, who's playing his first game at that middle linebacking spot. Looked like he was just a little bit lost for a moment, but he did find his way to the ball carrier eventually. However, first down for Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Big pressure from Ron Engelson, and Clements again reverses his field and tried to go to Perry Tuttle. That's not an easy throw at all.
I think that ball went exactly where Tommy was going, and that was off the playing field. No chance for an interception, but also no chance for a 20-yard loss as he was being chased by Engelson deep into Winnipeg territory.
Tommy's had the quick feet tonight. 2 or 3 times he has
He's moved around a lot more than he normally does.
Second down and 10 from the 39. Clements just gets rid of the ball, and wide open is Sean Kehoe. He is inside the Ottawa 40-yard line. Big gain for Winnipeg. He had 2 receivers down there, and both of them were open. Kehoe makes the catch for a gain of 33.
Boy, they are finding the hole in that zone, or splitting the seams in that zone against this Ottawa football club. Obviously, a good job by the coaching staff of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at halftime making the adjustment. They've completed 3 passes now in the early part of this third quarter like that.
Bombers go right back to work. Clements to Kehoe again. He's to the 30-yard line. Going to be close to a 10-yard gain. Miller in on the tackle. Greg Miller, number 10, is in there at a linebacking position.
Kehoe came into this ball game, only had 13 receptions all year long, and look at that.
Close enough for a measurement here. Ottawa Rough Riders has gone through a lot of changes in their defensive lineup since the game started. Now we see Steve Harrison coming back into the game, and Miller will go out. See number 10 heading to the Ottawa bench. Second and a little bit for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Ottawa 28.5-yard line. At Kantner stopped for a moment, but then he got another surge forward and has the first down near the 25.
You know, I thought Tommy might fake that one and go for it with another third down to try and pick up that first down, but it was not to be. Coach Cal Murphy said, let's get it now and keep the drive going.
Another Ottawa defensive player shaken up.
Well, they've had their problems, haven't they, with injuries?
Oh, boy. Coming into the game, they were without Chris Sigler and Phil Jones.
The change of Taylor for Washington at that middle linebacker spot was not because of injury, but they have had several changes both offensively and defensively because of people going down.
Ron Engelson this time. That'll bring Michel Bourgeot back into the ballgame. And a reminder, tomorrow night on the full CTV network, 7:30 start Eastern time. That is 5:30 in Alberta. The Eskimos against the Argonauts.
And if you missed the first encounter between these two teams about 3 weeks ago, it was one of the best finishes I've seen in football anywhere over the last several years.
I don't recall
just went up and down
so
the field.
many people talking about a game the way they did that one after the Friday night encounter in Edmonton.
Argos, of course, won that one 35-34 in the last second.
From the 25-yard line, Clements on first down finds Poplawski wide open at the 10-yard line. A pickup of 15. First down for Winnipeg.
Boy, they said they wanted a big night from Joe. Is he ever having it?
Those guys on the inside have been really getting open for the Bombers. First and goal.
You see Tommy step up into this pocket, actually throws off the wrong foot again, but a perfect strike to Joe.
Somebody jumped. Penalty flag is down. Perry Tuttle makes the catch at the 1, and he is dropped right there by Darrell Hall and Ricky Barden.
You could tell Tuttle really wanted to get in the end zone with that one. He's had 3 touchdown receptions so far in 86. We'll have to wait to see if the riders were drawn offside.
Initial indication was offside Ottawa. So the Bombers are going to take the penalty. It'll put the ball at the 4-yard line where it'll be first down over again and goal to go.
Offside, Ottawa number 78. First down repeated.
James Curry offside on the play, and the penalty picture is fairly bleak against the Ottawa Rough Riders here this evening. Winnipeg only 1 penalty in the first 2.5 quarters of this ball game.
Eight minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the third quarter, and the Bombers threatening to add to their lead now. They're first and goal from inside the 5-yard line. Sykes takes the pass from Clements, tough catch, puts it in the end zone.
Boy, you could just see that coming, couldn't you? Sykes went in motion right before the ball was snapped, and nobody came out there with him. The linebackers were trying to add extra coverage to the inside, and it was just dumped off to Sykes and a race to the goal line. Sykes had the steam to get it in there. A 3-minute and 35-second drive results in a 5-yard major score. Clements to Sykes. Watch as Tommy doesn't really throw the ball all that far. Sykes has just gone into motion and puts it in the corner.
Second touchdown of the night for James Sykes, and Osbaldiston converts it. And the Blue Bombers have now opened up an 18-6 lead over the Ottawa Rough Riders. We'll be back in just a moment. With his second touchdown of the night on pass this time from Tom Clements, and the Bombers lead at 18-6 here in the third quarter. Osbaldiston set to kick off from his own 35-yard line. Moving up to take it is Mark Lewis at his own 26. Lewis brings it out across the 45 to about the 47, 48-yard line. Roy Bennett there to stop him as the young Lewis shows pretty good speed. Once he gets rolling, he's only 5'9", 169, much smaller than his father, but he's still a heck of a football player.
The Lincoln Locomotive was the nickname, of course, for Leo, his dad, and apparently Mark was telling me before the ball game that he talked to Leo last night, and he had tried to get up to see his son play his first game ever in Winnipeg Stadium, but just at the last moment could not make it.
That would have been nice. Lester Brown takes the pitch from Dillon, and he's forced out of bounds at the 53-yard line, a gain of 5 yards on the play. Wiley Turner defensively for Winnipeg. Bombers have some people in their secondary that are smarting a little bit. Turner, Flegel, and Haley were all nursing minor injuries coming into the ball game, and of course Shaw isn't here. Roy Bennett, number 23 in the far corner, seems to be the only healthy defensive back at the moment, regular that is. It's second down and 5 for the Ottawa Rough Riders. The ball at their own 53-yard line. Dillon into the middle to the big guy Mike Hudson, and he is met right at the Bomber 50-yard line by Darrell Patterson. Patterson felt that one. Hudson is 6'5", 220 pounds, and gets a first down for Ottawa.
I guess Todd Dillon likes those bigger receivers where everybody talks about the Ottawa Rough Riders, and they've got 4 receivers who average about 5'9 and a half, so he's looking for the big guy. That's the second big reception here in the ball game that Dillon has found Hudson with.
Dillon on first down has to step up, and he won't get it away. Delbert Fowler from the outside. And those Bomber linebackers do make things happen.
That looked like a low 10. He gave it a back and forth.
Fourth sack of the season for Fowler. And a loss of 2.
You'll see the pressure come from Dillon's right side, big number 72, Fowler. I think he's got actually a sack earlier in this ball game.
Second down and 12. Here comes Patterson. Dillon does a good job of getting away from Patterson. He threw the ball. Catterbone thought he had made the catch, but it's ruled incomplete. He trapped it.
Well, that was the one hopper to him, no question about that. But it was an excellent job, as you say, by Dillon, just getting the football off.
Bombers really teeing up and going after the Ottawa quarterbacks now. Now we have Burgess in there as the Ottawa Rough Riders go into punt formation. Of course, last week they pulled a couple of tricky plays out of punt formation, but this time the direct snap goes to Ken Clark, and he booms one into the end zone. 5 yards deep, and Sampson brings it out. Oh, he's got a lane over there, but he can't get around Robert Reed. If Reed doesn't bring him down, Sampson has all kinds of room, but Robert Reed does the job at the 20-yard line, and that kick traveled 54 yards and a return of 25.
I was a little surprised he brought it out with the score 18-6 at this point. Whether you're ahead by 12 or 11 doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You do subject yourself to a potential fumble and handling the football, and you would have got the ball out at the 25-yard line. So it was a bit of a strange move by Sampson, but he did a good job once he decided to come out.
First down for the Bombers now at their own 20. John Kehoe, the inside handoff from Clements, gets close to the 25. Aaron Hill making the tackle. The gain as they put the ball at the 24 is 4 yards. Second down and 6. Those scores last night in the CFL: Hamilton over Montreal 28-23 and Calgary over BC 30-14. Clements has to eat it this time. The ball came loose and they roll it incomplete. Lloyd Lewis was right on top of Clements, but they rule he was in the throwing motion. Greg Marshall came up with the loose football. It'll be third down.
Boy, Lewis put tremendous pressure on Clements. Watch him. He's number 76. He's had 7 sacks coming into tonight's ball game, but he's also had a statistic that's just as important to coaches. He's had 9 what they call pressures, getting very close to the quarterback before he gets rid of the football. He and Curry basically provide most of the rush from that front four.
So it's Bob Cameron into punt. Ottawa with 2 men back. One is Mark Lewis, and he'll take this punt, and it's a beauty. Good kicking here tonight by the 2 punters. Lewis on the return and nowhere to go. Ken Haley was downfield quickly for the Bombers. A 50-yard punt and a return of 4. And, of course, weekends mean plenty of junior football action across Canada. And here's a look at some of the games. And if there's a game coming up in your area, be sure to take it in. Good for junior football action across Canada tomorrow, including the BC Junior League and the Prairie Junior Conference on Sunday. And of course, so many that have played junior football have gone on to have great careers in the CFL. From the 40-yard line, the Ottawa Rough Riders 1st and 10 now. Dillon in trouble again, and he goes down. Tyrone Jones back at the 30-yard line to 29. It's a loss of 11.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Winnipeg coming after the Ottawa quarterbacks all the time. And, you know, when you get people in there that are not really that familiar with the offense, it's an excellent type of strategy. They're bringing their linebackers almost every play now. Ty Jones, of course, who's been just outstanding in his 4 years with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, gets there that time. There's no way he's got a chance to release that football. He's lucky to go down and still have possession of it.
So it is second down and 21. Here comes West. Dillon does a nice job of stepping by him.
What a throw.
Brown. Oh. Incomplete. Tyrone Jones reached around and knocked the ball loose. Oh, so close.
What a gorgeous throw by Dillon, though. Watch this. Watch where that ball hits Lester Brown. He's in full flight, and the ball is right there.
Boy.
You can't put it in any better position for a guy to make the reception, but a good job defensively by Jones of stripping it away. That was a good football play, both ways, both offensively and defensively.
And on the first play, Jones is in the backfield for an 11-yard sack. On the second play, he's 40, 50 yards downfield covering Lester Brown. Good punt by Ken Clark. They're going back and forth now, Cameron and Clark, for sensational punting. And this is Sampson on the return. Comes out across the 30-yard line, and Marty Palazetti makes the tackle at the 32. A 61-yard punt.
Dale, you were mentioning, Dale, you were mentioning the good kicking we're seeing tonight, and believe me, it's all the kickers because the weather, a little bit breezy and a little bit threatening at the start of the game, is now just splendid. The flags are hanging practically straight down. The wind almost non-existent. It's warm, and there's no threat of rain, so the kickers are doing it without any help from the elements.
3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The Bombers out in front, 18-6. Clemens is caught by James Curry back at the 30-yard line. There'll be a loss of a couple of yards on the play. Second sack for Curry.
Tommy's had to move around quite a bit, which we've mentioned a couple of occasions. Good effort by the Ottawa defensive secondary, obviously, to bottle up the receivers downfield. It'll be 2nd and 12.
Wide open is Erdman. He's going to turn his first catch of the night into a big game. Jerome Erdman out of Simon Fraser has just picked up 47 yards for the Bombers.
Well, we talked a lot about Leo Lewis here this evening because his son is playing. He wore number 29, and he ran with the football a lot like this. Watch what Erdman does after he makes that reception. He reverses his field twice, finally moves down the right sideline all the way to the 32-yard line. Great play.
Sanji finally forced him out. 1st and 10 Bombers. James Sykes with the football. He gets inside the Ottawa 25-yard line as he bounced between Lloyd Lewis and Rick Sovieta. They'll spot the ball at the 24. It's a gain of 8 yards. 2nd down and 2, and we have another injured Ottawa Rough Rider. It looks like Steve Harrison.
Looks like all of a sudden in this third quarter, the Blue Bomber offense has finally made up their mind that, hey, we better put something together. We haven't really done much in the last couple of football games. Tommy's finding some holes down there and moving it offensively. There's a minute 43 remaining now in this third quarter as there'll be a timeout because of this injury.
Frank, the Bomber coaching staff really must have done a good job in the halftime intermission because it is a more potent attack all the way around.
I don't recall the last time we've seen them use Sean Kehoe so effectively as a pass receiver, but he's been a big factor here in the third quarter. Of course, Joe Poplawski has been their number 1 man throughout the evening.
Here's some more Canadian amateur football that's going on this weekend. Tomorrow in the Ontario Conference, you see the 3 games listed. And action Quebec Major Junior Football. Tomorrow a game and another game on Sunday. So there's junior football going on right across Canada this weekend.
Steve Harrison, a 4-year veteran from UBC.